Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News at 5. I'm Mark Hanrahan. Whitney has the evening off. 24 hours after Election Day, suspicious letters were sent to 4 elections offices in Washington, prompting swift evacuations after white powder was found. These include Pierce, Skagit, and King counties in western Washington, and also right here in Spokane. We bring you complete team coverage on this developing story tonight. Sebastian Robertson with our Seattle sister station is at the King County election headquarters, but we begin with KREM 2's Nathan Hyun live at the Spokane County Elections Office after learning what that substance was that was found. Nathan?
Mark, this is the Spokane County Election Office. I was here for KREM 2 News at noon, and when the news was first breaking, I saw firemen in hazmat suits walking in and out of the building. Election workers were also standing outside wondering what was going on. Now, 5 hours later, we know that the substance found inside the envelope was fentanyl. Election workers were busy counting ballots a day after the election, but around 10 o'clock this morning,
an employee opened an envelope and there was a white powdery substance in it.
Spokane County Auditor Vicki Dalton says that was when the employee immediately told a supervisor. The elections office was closed and the staff evacuated.
Considering how long it was going to take to evaluate the substance, so we sent the employees home.
The Spokane Police Department says initial tests showed the powdered substance tested positive for fentanyl, which is a potent synthetic opioid that can be deadly.
In Spokane County, we have not had an interruption due to an evacuation in the time that I have been auditor.
Dalton says the employee who found the substance was evaluated by medical experts but did not have symptoms.
Everyone responded appropriately and quickly to this situation.
Election manager Mike McLaughlin says it wasn't expected, but they were prepared for it.
Something that we were aware of, and there's protocols in place to handle this type of situation.
Police say they're working with federal and state agencies to investigate. The envelope was not a ballot.
It was just a white envelope just addressed to us.
McLaughlin says this will not slow down when election results will be certified. The plan is to have the Secretary of State affirm results on November 28th. And in the past hour, we did learn that there was a note inside the envelope, but we don't know what it says. And I'm told that we can expect a new election update tomorrow at about 5 p.m. Live in Spokane, Nathan Hyun, KREM 2 News.
Sebastian Robertson continues our team coverage tonight from King County, where election employees were just given the all clear.
More than 250 election employees are back on the clock, essentially playing catch up after the whole building was evacuated when a suspicious package was uncovered. And it turns out it was one of 4 instances happening across the state. One day after the election, a suspicious letter with an unknown white powder triggered an evacuation of the King County Election Center. Investigators saying that powder contained traces of fentanyl. They'll say they were able to secure the substance before anyone was harmed.
But I can't say that I'm surprised, just because the day and age that we're in right now, we do see a lot of things like this.
Tacoma police reporting a similar incident. White powder in an envelope with a note that read, "End the election now." And across the state in Spokane, election officials were evacuated when an employee came into contact with a substance that also tested positive for fentanyl. In all cases, the buildings were evacuated and the ballots remained under lock and key.
At this time, all ballot processing is paused as our building is clear of all people. Those ballots are secured up there. We have our security cameras, we have our webcams. If doors are locked, alarms are armed, but it is clear of people, which means that signatures are not being verified, ballots are not being scanned in, and things are not being tabulated at this time.
We now know that that suspicious package and the white powder discovered here in Renton is in the hands of the FBI. They're investigating, but investigators have yet to say if they believe all these instances are connected. In Renton, Sebastian Robertson, KREM 2 News.
This is not the first time that this year, envelopes with suspicious materials were sent to several Washington elections offices. During the August primaries, while processing ballots, elections officials in King and Okanogan counties received similar letters with suspicious materials. In King County, an analysis of that material found trace amounts of fentanyl. Meanwhile, the Okanogan County Courthouse had to be evacuated when there was a report of an envelope containing an unidentified substance. We still don't know if any of these incidents are connected. Secretary of State Steve Hobbs allocated $80,000 to these counties so they can ramp up their election security. And the Washington Secretary of State called today's incidents, quote, acts of terrorism. Secretary Steve Hobbs tells KREM 2 the U.S. Postal Inspection Service has been notified and is investigating. Other elections offices statewide were also put on alert to be vigilant. Hobbs says this highlights the seriousness of threats that election workers face now and says stronger protections are needed. All right, let's switch gears and talk weather. After a stretch of wet weather earlier this week, a much drier forecast is expected for at least the next couple of days. Let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Legoo for more on that. Jeremy?
Well, when it comes to our overall weather pattern, it does look like the wet weather returns, but the lack of cloud cover tonight means a very cold start to the day tomorrow. Sun has been down for less than an hour, and here we are already falling to near 30, well, into the 30s. We're near 40 degrees. The low sits off the coast, and so does the cold front. That cold front is what eventually brings us our next round of rain. Typically, I would say a storm like this has no chance, but we have a ton of moisture still in the atmosphere, and the cold front itself looks pretty potent, packing a lot of moisture and a lot of energy. So I think we wind up seeing building cloud cover throughout the day tomorrow. By the time it sets, mostly cloudy skies. Overnight, we'll see the return of rain to much of the inland northwest, and then snow to start the day up in the mountains. But by the time the sun comes up and the day gets going, it's a few scattered showers lingering thereafter. Overall, it looks like things trend nice and mild despite the return of rain. Temperatures in the mid-40s each afternoon, and tomorrow looks like our last cold morning for a while.
All right, sounds good, Jeremy. Thank you very much.